here. I'm going to mute your mics. I'm going to hit record this time. Our last episode. It's another Sunday podcast, episode number 183, recorded on August the 20th, 2025. Air date August 31st, 2025. Stand by. Mics are hot. From our studios in Boston, Massachusetts, I'm Jerry DeViller. Debbie Catalano with Catalano Creative is alongside. We want to welcome our listeners from the United States and around the world. It's another Sunday podcast. Hello, Debbie. How are you?
Hello, Jerry. I'm fine. How are you?
I am better than I deserve. Thank you. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Here we are at the end of August. It's going to be Labor Day's around the corner. 2025. Where did the summer go? Man,
I don't know.
Like we just
still summer. It's still summer.
It is.
It's September 21st. So I'm not saying summer's over.
That's true. That's true.
I say that all the time.
Yeah, you're right, and you're right. I don't know why.
I have a friend I go back and forth with about this all the time. She'll say, "Oh, it's starting to get darker out, and it's colder, and it falls in the air." I'm like, "No, nope."
Yeah. Well, and on the day that we're recording this, it is one of those fall-like days, even though we're in August, after having all those heat waves we've been talking about in the previous episodes. So maybe that's why I'm thinking it's
understandable.
It's fall. But anyway, our last episode with Samantha Gasparo was just took off. What a great story that she had talking about her daughter and with her birth defects, her heart defects, and just such a heartwarming, inspiring episode.
Yes, absolutely. And she was great on the podcast. It was her first time. You'd never know. She did a wonderful job. So
she did an awesome job, and she's getting ready to run the New York City Marathon and then the Boston in April again to raise money. Folks can check that out on our website. It's another Sunday podcast. The links are there if you want to watch the episode. It's on YouTube if you want to listen to it, or if you want to make a donation to that cause. It's greatly appreciated. We have a very interesting and fun episode tonight. We have a returning guest. Our guest today, a very good friend of yours. He was last with us in February of 2022. I don't know why we've waited 3.5 years to have.
I can't even believe it's been that long. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago.
Like I said, time is just flying. It's crazy, right?
Yes.
His name is Mike Previti. He is a voiceover actor and singer-songwriter extraordinaire. He does a lot of things. Has done a lot of things. We're going to talk about his voice acting and how he got into it and all of the things that he's been doing and how far he's come since we last had him in February of 2022. So
yes,
let's bring him on. Mr. Mike Previti, welcome back to the show.
Hello, guys. Thank you for having me. And I do want to congratulate you seriously on the continuation of the podcast, because you guys, again, 3.5 years later, right, since we last met. You guys are doing great, so congratulations.
Well, thank you
that's sweet of you.
very
thank
much.
You.
And I don't know, I didn't mention this to you, Debbie, and Mike, you'll now hear. We are now in 94 countries. We picked up 4 or 5 countries just in the last couple of weeks. So thank you to everyone who's listening.
Yes.
Please send us comments, send us ideas, send us your
hello.
your hello, anything you want to be on the show. The email address, it's really simple. It's another Sunday podcast at gmail.com. So write us and tell us where you are and what you like or dislike about the show. We'd love to hear from you either way.
But anyway, that's very nice of you, Mike. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So just to give our audience a little bit of a background, you're a seasoned voice actor with a guy next door vibe. Energetic, warm, expressive. You've done commercials for Marvel and Samsung, GoDaddy, Merrell, Mattel, Microsoft. The list goes on and on and on. Animation and all that stuff. You've come a long way in 3.5 years,
Yeah,
and obviously you enjoy it, and you're
I
doing well
do.
with it.
I do. Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, there's been a lot that happened, which has been great, and I've been really lucky enough to work with some of the brands that you mentioned, obviously, or all of the brands that you mentioned, plus more. And I've been in a few video games, which has been great, and some animated series and things like that. And it's just, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And it's just, it's been a lot of work, but it's like it's owning your own business. And I think when I first talked to you guys, I hadn't been really into it for too long. Was I might have been was I part-time still, or I was just starting full-time or something like that?
I think what led me to, I mean, other than the fact that, you and I go way back as far as in the Boston music scene, but you were doing these videos on Instagram, which you are still doing, that I want to talk about.
Still doing.
And you were giving tips and you were talking about starting out and being in voiceover work and just the things that you learned and just sharing along the way. And I really love that even as you have elevated through this industry, you're still doing that, which I really admire. So I think that that's what you were doing at that time, and you were
Yeah.
starting in, and and I see now you have like an agency representing you, correct?
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
with a couple of different agents. I have a New York agent and I have a West Coast agent as well. And a couple of other regional voiceover agents too. But yeah, so I was able to secure those agents, over the past few years, which has been great. And the relationship's awesome, and I've gotten some good projects, book some good projects from my agents. But a lot of the work that I do, I mean, it's still a very small percentage that I get from agents. The majority of work that I get is from just me kind of out there direct marketing and kind of hustling and trying to book the jobs. Trust me, I want to get more agency bookings because those are can be really great. But yeah, it's really just kind of all about really doing the work, and that's just, kind of putting your head down, and just like anything else, just like any other business. Um, I was actually talking to somebody today, a newer voice actor that um, wanted to just kind of talk about, maybe how to start and really get into it. And they're kind of confused about which way they need to go. And we were talking about that. And I said, years ago, it used to be that you could have an agent and that's all you needed to do. You secure an agent, and the business wasn't as saturated as it is now with voice actors because it's saturated industry now. And used to just get work from your agent, and that was it. But now the landscape has changed so much because it is such a saturated industry. Everybody wants to be a voice actor, it seems. Everybody with a microphone. And since the pandemic, everybody's wants to be a voice actor for some reason.
Mm.
So anyway, because it's like that now, you just have to do, it's a lot more competitive. Um, and because the landscape has changed, you have to just do a lot of work that you didn't have to do years ago in order to secure bookings and to have a career and to really sustain a career doing it.
So, how did you get your start in voiceover work?
So I got my start about, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years ago or something. I was still kind of deep into writing, songwriting. And I had a songwriting partner. We were doing a lot of work together. We worked together for about 5 years or so. And we had a publishing deal in the UK, and we were writing with other songwriters from all over the world. And we were talking one day, and he's a professional composer, and he had been a freelancer since he was like 25. And he said, and we're a little bit older than 25 now. And so he said to me, he said, "Did you ever think about doing voiceover? Has that something that ever crossed your mind? And I said no. And he says, I don't know. I just kind of think you might be good at it. I think, maybe look into it, make yourself a demo. And this is before remote studios. This was when you were going into studios just to audition. And, there was no home studios or anything like that. So I put a demo together with his help just because, I had production experience because of the songwriting. And came up with a commercial demo. And I just started sending it out to Boston agencies at the time. And I started getting, called. Not a lot, but it was maybe once every other month or something like that. I'd get a call and I'd go into town and I'd do a job, and that was it. And I liked it. I mean, it was creative behind a microphone. It was a kind of different aspect than what I was doing, but I was like, really liking it. But then music was still kind of a priority for me. So I let it slide and just kind of, drop. And then back in 2020, I was at a full-time job that I hated. And I was saying to myself, I really, really need to start living my days the way I want to live my days. Like I've been working a 9 to 5 for so long, but I'd always wanted to do something creatively as a career since I was a kid. I mean, I'm talking 10 years old. Like I knew that, I wanted to do something in the arts. And so, thinking about it and researching, and voiceover popped in my head, and I was like, huh. And so I researched for about 2 months solid, like every day. I was just like watching videos and going, because I had the gear already. And I was like, but can I build a real business? Like, is it something that I can build? And after a couple of months of research, I said to myself, you know what? I really think that I can do this. And so I started doing it, and I did it part-time for a year. And my wife and I had money in the bank, thankfully. And after a year, I kind of sat her down and I said, what do you think about me leaving and really giving it a go? And thank God for supportive wives, because she said yes. And now here we are. So it's crazy.
So are you basically self-taught? Did you have any formal training in this?
I coach. Coaching is really, really important when you're doing this, and you have to be pretty consistent with it. It's really important that you do coach. So I do coach, not constantly. The past couple of years, I've been concentrated on animation coaching. I've been lucky enough to coach with some really great people. Um, but when you're first starting out, I mean, if you don't have any experience, you should definitely coach with a professional voiceover coach. And then you kind of got to keep up with it. It doesn't have to be all the time, but every once in a while, do a little bit of coaching, because trends change and things like that too. So it's important to keep up with those things. But so I don't think I was self-taught. I kind of dove in head first. But I also did some coaching as well. So
sure. And you just brought me to my next question: is how has the industry changed since you started?
um, I don't think it's changed a lot since I've started. Yeah, I mean, I really don't. I think the biggest, and it's not really a change. It really changed before I got into it. But I think it was the idea, like I'd mentioned before, I think it was the idea that you can just sit back and have an agent and the work's going to come. The work's not going to come. You got to go get the work. You have to, our jobs are basically to audition every day. You do a ton of auditions, and, you hopefully book a couple of jobs in there, but so it hasn't changed a real lot as far as the types of reads, like years ago, the types of reads, and I'm going back, but the types of reads you would hear on commercials, and it was very selly and very, you know, it just had this vibe to it. Nowadays, if you watch commercials like TV, I don't have cable, but I watch a lot of TV commercials just because of the fact that it's like my research. But even online ads and things like that, there's kind of nowadays they call it like the conversational read or the casual read, and it's very much kind of laid back, almost sometimes like you don't even care. That's the type of reads that are kind of happening nowadays, and that's been going on though for a few years. But nothing's changed too much since I've been in it. But it's kind of the pendulum swings every so often, so it could at any moment ad agencies and buyers could decide that they want different reads from people, and you'll see.
Sure. And
That's interesting.
you mentioned that it's saturated too, so it's grown quite a bit since you started, I imagine.
Yeah, it seems like I think the pandemic did a lot for the voiceover industry in that there was just a lot of people that were trying to find something that they could do from home,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
obviously. And once people started researching, voiceover obviously popped up on a lot of people's YouTube feeds. And but it is saturated. And I think part of the problem though with that is that what ends up happening is you get a lot of people that are interested. And then after 6 months, there's a lot of people that fall off because they realize that it's actual work. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of work. It's building a business. Um, so there's a lot of people that fall off. But yeah, there's a lot of people that just, you see these ads sometimes, and oh my God, I want to throw my phone across the room. But I see these ads that you know, oh, you can, be in your pajamas all day and read scripts and make, $600 a day and blah blah. And that's just a bunch of crap. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you got to really, really work and your butt off for a little while. And sometimes, yeah, people get into the industry and 6, 7 months later, they're all of a sudden in a really good place. But that's the exception, not the rule. That's kind of for any, that can happen at any site type of business. But yeah, you just got to work your butt off, and it takes time, and you just got to do the work consistently.
Well, like you said, it's building a business at the same time. I mean, there's even though, yeah, you have the freedom and the independence, but you have to research the company. Like you said, kind of hustle and get out there. Even though you have agencies, you're still doing that. It's building a profile about yourself.
Yep.
And it's not just like you just get assigned something. I mean, I'm sure, like, this actually leads me to a question because I was listening to all your samples. And also, I think, by the way, too, that you stand out with your voice because first of all you can make it do so many different things, like I've known you a long time and I was listening to your samples, I was like, wait, that's Mike, and that's awesome. I think that's really good, but yet that not over the top thing that you said was once sort of a trend, that booming
Yeah.
salesy type thing.
Right.
That's interesting that you said that because now that I think of it, that's true. Things have gotten a little bit more down to earth in that sense.
Yeah.
But when you get, I was curious, when you get called for a job, I'm guessing that the client, let's say, has something in mind as far as what they want the voice to sound like. So what is the process with that? Do you have to submit different samples? Do they just tell you and boom, it's in one shot, and you must have to get into character like an acting job, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, it's all acting really. Like even if you're doing a commercial job and you're doing just a regular, I don't know. I just did a Flonase commercial,
Hmm.
and it was for children's Flonase thing called Sensimist. And anyway, I did that, but and it's my voice, and I'm just kind of reading, and it's a quick 15-second script, but you're still acting. You still kind of have to put yourself. So it really kind of depends, and it depends on where you get the auditions from and then how the sessions end up coming to be. So, for instance, if it comes through one of my agents, I'll get a brief, basically. I'll get an audition, and it will most of the time give you the specs, like what the client is looking for. And it'll say, like, for instance, the GoDaddy commercial that I did was when the brief came in, it ended up being that I'm the voice of I don't even know the tube man. So you know how they have those tube men, those outside of stores, and they're
Yes.
I don't even know what you call them,
Those inflated
inflated tube men type
things
thing.
that
Right,
wave
right, right.
around. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when the brief came in initially for that, it was they wanted somebody to kind of have the feel of oh my God. And of course I'm gonna forget his name, but he was in that movie in Superbad. Superbad? Um,
Oh,
is an actor, kind of a little bit of a nerdy, because I kind of have a little bit of a nerdier voice, and I get that. But
I,
anyway, they had
Josh Gad maybe or
no, it was
no.
the kind of smaller, skinnier kid, and Anyway, they have kind of a reference, and a lot of times they'll have references like, we don't want you to sound like this person, but this is kind of the vibe that we're going for. So it'll give you specs, and you base your audition off of those specs. And a lot of times I'll give a couple of different takes, like, depending on the brief. One could be maybe a more energetic take, exactly what they were asking for, and then maybe another one that's a little more laid back, not necessarily what they were asking for, but just showing them options.
Yeah.
And then once you book the job, sometimes you end up booking the job, and once you get into the directed session, and a directed session could go like this, the client could be on Zoom, and they're directing me. I'm recording on my end, and they're directing me as to what they need. I just had a session yesterday that I did that. But then I have sessions also through what they call Source Connect. And Source Connect is basically a software that a lot of clients have, that I have as well, and a lot of voice actors have. You should have that if you're a voice actor nowadays. And basically, I can hook into anybody's studio anywhere in the world,
Oh,
and they can
wow.
record me just like this, but on their end in their studio. So those will be like the two types. And then, sometimes you get into a session and the final ends up being very different than what you auditioned with, just because you're in a room with creatives. Things happen. They're getting ideas as you go. They want to go a different direction. Maybe the script changed. So it can go a bunch of different ways, but you usually get an idea when you get the initial audition. And then I just like to go back, and once I book the job, I'll go back and I'll listen to the audition a couple times before I actually have the session, so I can remember, okay, this is kind of the vibe. My energy level was here. It was higher. It wasn't, so there's a few different ways that it can happen, but that's kind of gives you a general sense.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Has there ever been we don't need to know who, but has there ever been a job that was presented to you that you said, I just can't do this
Good
Yeah.
or
question.
won't do this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. There. So sometimes you get offered a project, and I've had to kind of back away because of the rate. The rate's
Oh,
what I need to take, and basically, there's a whole thing about rates when it comes to voiceover. But the Global Voice Acting Academy, GVAA for short, they have a rate guide that's kind of a standard industry rate guide for non-union voiceover. And that's kind of the guide that I go by, and a lot of other voice actors go by when it comes to, rates for non-union. And so sometimes I will get, asked to do a job, but I can't take it because it's just lower than. Um, but, I've gotten asked to do projects before, and the content is like explicit content, and I just won't do that. And maybe if I was younger, I would do it. But I have kids, and I like to set an example too and stuff, and I don't want to just kind of do anything for the money. Uh,
yeah. Good
so,
on
so
you.
yeah, so that's like another example of a job that, like a project that I turned down. But yeah, so it does happen for sure.
So how do you prepare for a role or a session? Is there anything you do special?
I think it just kind of depends on what it is. Like if it's a video game or if it's animation, which I get hired a lot for, like character stuff, like animation stuff, which I love. It's like one of my favorite genres to work in. Um, there's a lot more preparation physically for those, just getting your voice, just like when I'm very blessed to have had, the experience with being a singer for so long, when playing shows and not feeling my best, but being able to get my voice where it needed to be in order to play a show. Those things really, really help now if I'm doing a video game session where, a lot of times in a video game session, you're doing a character. I did a character for a game called Ready or Not, which is a big video game, and and I was playing an 18-year-old, I remember, and I thought it was funny that they booked me to be an 18-year-old, first of all. But but I know I do have that kind of younger sound to my voice, so
You do? It's a good thing.
yeah, it is a good no, it is. I'm very lucky to have that. Um so I did get booked for that, but what happens when you're in a video game session, you'll do maybe an hour's worth of your lines, and then at the end, they have a lot of what they call efforts. And efforts are running. You're running in a scene, or you're dying, or you're getting killed, or somebody's shooting you, or you're getting stabbed. And you have to do all these emotes, you have to do all these efforts. They'll a lot of times save that for the end of the session because you're killing your voice for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Um, so I'll do a lot of warming up throughout before the session in the morning, whatever. Steeping my throat, using a nebulizer, whatever I have to do. So, but with regular commercial work, I don't really warm up a lot, which I don't know if I should be saying that or not because I probably should be, but I don't really do a lot of warming up. But it's the animation and it's the video game stuff that I'll definitely, prepare a little bit more physically.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also that was something I was going to ask about you being a singer, having a little bit of edge like that, knowing how to do vocal care and take care of that, and even just projecting your voice when you have to, things like that, that maybe the average person getting into voiceover work wouldn't have if they weren't a singer.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're doing animation or video game, well, animation, I guess, video games as well, uh, do you are you being told what they want to sound like in almost all of those projects, or are you able to create some of your own character voices?
Um, a lot of times, the spec for video games, so video games have become so grounded. They're literally like movies nowadays. So a lot of the performances are just you're not really putting on a voice. It's just you, you know. Video games have become a lot of that. And every once in a while, you'll get a kind of more character-y type of thing. But that's a lot more grounded. Animation, on the other hand, even though animation, there's a lot of kind of grounded performances, just meaning where you're using your own voice. There's a lot of opportunity to be, silly. Like I got booked for an animated series called Bonkers, and there's a New York Times best-selling author. His name is Patrick Carman. He's a children's book author, and he wanted to do this animated series based on one of his books. And so I auditioned for that. I got booked for that, and I play a little kid. And so I actually auditioned for one role based on the spec that they had given, and it could have been like, 14-year-old kid and has this personality and doesn't like, sometimes they'll give you a lot to work with. Sometimes they'll give you just a couple of lines and you have to use your imagination, which I love doing. I'd rather have them give me just a couple of different things. And so, yeah, I mean, for something like that, put on a voice and got booked for that. And that was a 6-episode series, and which was a lot of fun. But yeah, there's opportunity. And I think sometimes too, with animation and with like casting directors and things like that, it's you can really you really want to show casting directors that you have an imagination, that that's why sometimes I'll do a couple of different takes, and one will be in one voice and one will be maybe the same voice but with a British accent or something, just because you want to bring something else to the table and give them options and things like that. So yeah, there's definitely those opportunities.
Do you find that you're surprised when one of the options that maybe you just threw out there sticks? Because that's happened to me as a writer when they ask for like copywriting options, and I would do a list, and sometimes I throw one in that sounds so ridiculous and silly, and then I'll find out later that's the one they picked. Has
Yeah.
that happened even with you vocally?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think if I can think of anyone specific. I know I put a lot of just crazy stuff out there because like one of the things that casting directors will tell you is, you know, you got to try to stand out. And it's not easy because, casting directors are listening to 500 auditions for one job, sometimes 1,000 and literally 1,000 auditions for one character.
Wow.
And so you're having to compete, and it is very competitive. I mean, it's a very competitive industry. There's a lot of great, great, great voice actors out there. And so, but yeah, sometimes kind of the wackiness is what will get you. I can't think of anything that I've done that, something really wacky got me a project, but yeah, but I put a lot of stuff out there in auditions. I try to anyway, when there's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talk about auditioning, hundreds of auditions that you do. When you're booked for the gig, I'm assuming the audition isn't the entire script, right? Or what the project is. And then you end up having to do, if they hire you, you end up doing the whatever it is that you're doing. Is that right?
Yeah, sometimes you'll, if it's only like a 30-second script or a 15-second or something like that, they'll have you audition with the entire script. The risk you always run is that they're going to have changes to the script anyway, so it's really not going to matter. Like when you get into the session, I had a session yesterday. It was supposed to be an hour long session. It turned out to be a 90-minute session. What I auditioned with was only a partial and sometimes they'll mention it in the audition. This is only a partial of the entire read, but it ended up being a 3-minute script. And what ended up happening with this session is that I got into the session. They sent me the video to take a look at just so I could see the visuals. Like, okay, this is what the video is going to look like, which is always nice to get that vision in your head. And I'm a very visual person. So if I can see something, I go, oh, yeah, okay. But then they had changed the script last minute and they just sent me an updated one, right when the session started. So, and then it was like an hour and a half of just really fine tuning like every line and every paragraph. And it's different, some sessions they're really short. And I remember I had this one session, I don't know, a couple years ago that I got on the phone, the creative director just wanted to do a phone call and while I was recording myself, and I was like, okay. And so we got on the phone, and this is a creative director that's done a lot of big things. And we got on the phone and it literally took 10 minutes. Then we took 5 minutes to just talk about nothing and just laugh. And that was it for the session. And it was a really well-paying session. And I'm like, did that just happen? Like, I can't even believe it. So it really is kind of all over the place. Animation and video games obviously can be a lot more involved just because you're trying to get the character kind of really dialed in and stuff. So it's different every time, I guess.
Yeah, I never would have thought a 3-minute script would take 90 minutes to record. It just doesn't, it's not something that I would have thought. I figured it would be more than 3 minutes maybe, but not certainly not 90. So that's really trying to get dialed into what they're looking for there.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. They can take, I think we did the script yesterday in my session 9 times. I read through it 9 times, got direction from them after each one, and then we went and recorded each line, 3 takes for each line of the entire script. So that's sometimes what you do, because sometimes creative directors will have such an exact vision about, we want this word to lift and then we want you to drop on this word. Like it'll be that specific. So
wow,
yeah,
that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't see in the bio here. So I'm not sure. Do you do audiobooks? Have you done audiobooks?
I have a hate relationship with books. I did an audiobook once, Jerry, when I was part-time. You're just looking for whatever you can get for work. And I had auditioned for an audiobook and I booked it. And holy moly, I'm not a patient person, and you have to have patience of a saint when you are doing these audiobooks because it takes time. Takes a lot.
Was it like a novel, or is it like
It wasn't as, I guess, to me it seemed like I was doing it for 7 months, and I think
yeah.
I think I did it because this is when I was part-time, so I was doing it at night in the studio and then on weekends.
Mm-hmm.
And it took like a few weeks for me to do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I will never do. Now, children's stories, things like that, I'll do those all day long.
Yeah.
But yeah, audiobooks, yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, I asked that. I'm a big audiobook fan. I listen to
I
audiobooks.
love listening to them.
Yeah, me as well.
Yeah.
Me as well. And some of the audiobooks I listen to are 12, 13, 20 hours long. And I can't imagine how long it would take to record a 20, because I know the actor's not reading for 20 straight hours. In fact, some audiobooks you can actually hear where the break is. The voice changes a little bit. It's like
yeah, like if they're tired and then
if they're
tired in the
and
morning or at night.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, you can. And it's funny that you notice that stuff because I always think about those things too. Because I have friends that love doing audiobooks and they make a great living doing audiobooks. But give me a 30-second commercial any day of the week, and I will take that.
It seems like that's like almost a separate profession, like a division of voiceover. Like I didn't even think until Jerry mentioned it. I wouldn't even have thought of audiobooks. I'm thinking more everything that you do, the ads and the
Oh yeah, no, that's only
clips.
one, I mean,
Yeah.
if you think about it, they have, you do audiobooks, but then people that do e-learning.
Yes,
Like,
that's true.
for
Right.
companies, corporate narration, they're
Mm-hmm.
all their own kind of separate space. And yeah, and people and it takes a little while to kind of find out where you land in that too, because only this year, to be honest with you, have I kind of said to myself, okay, I think I know where I land in the voiceover industry. And for me, because you look back, what do I get booked for the most? What kind of things am I? And for me, I get booked in commercial and character work the most.
Mm-hmm.
So those two things, I'm strong in both of those things, but I also get booked in those things. I don't
Yeah.
get booked for a lot of e-learning or corporate narration and things. I've done those things, but not a lot. So it takes a little while to kind of find out where you land in what space,
And it seems like you enjoy those things too.
Love them. Yeah,
Yeah. That's important. Really important.
absolutely. Yeah.
The other thing going back to you enjoying it, go back to something I mentioned earlier is the little video clips that you put on Instagram. I love, like I said, that you're still sort of sharing your stories and giving tips and helping others. And so is that something, I mean, I'm happy to see that you're still doing that. Is that something that you're getting something out of it just as much as you putting it out there?
I think it's the only reason why I do it, to be honest with you.
That's awesome. I love that.
I mean, I get messages and comments all the time from people. Thank you so much. This is so helpful. I'm just getting into voiceover and I love these tips and blah, blah, blah. So I love being able to do that. But when I first started, I didn't even want to I think I was maybe on Facebook, maybe, but I didn't want to be on any other social media. But I knew like, okay, well, I'm going to have my business. I really have to get out there. And so I really kind of did it as a way to it's almost therapy for me. I got to be honest. It really is. It's almost therapy, like talking about, because I'm not a coach. I've been asked if I coach before, and I really don't. I have friends that coach that I'll refer all day long to people, but I don't coach. I really just did it because I needed to get out there. So I started doing it. And then it turned into just kind of this thing where I'm like, I'm just going to post a few times a week, maybe sometimes every day, that what I'm going through and what I'm doing. And if it helps people, that's awesome. I would love to do that. And, like the person that I got on a Zoom call with today, she asked if I coached. I said no, but I'm happy to get on a call with you. And I love that because people have helped me up until this point and still do. And so I just kind of look at it as I just want to pay it forward. And if I can help people that are really passionate about it, then I would love to do that.
I think that's such a wonderful thing because you said this is such a competitive industry And so some people could be like, oh, well, now I'm all set. I'm not going to help other people. They could get the job I want. And the fact that you don't do that, you are paying it forward. And it's just like putting good out in the world. And it is. It's almost like a little diary too, in a way, I guess, when you
No,
do
it
that.
totally is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Nah.
love that. I love that because I can always go back and go, because I've watched older videos of myself and gone, holy moly, what the hell was I thinking? But kind of as you go further along, you get, you're more your business builds, you get more experience, you're able to talk about more things and things like that. And there's enough work to go around. There is so much work out there for voice actors. Um, so I'm not worried. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
So, do you prefer commercial or animation, video game narration? What do you prefer and why?
So yeah, commercial and character work are my favorites. I love commercial work. I don't know. I just like ads that you see and TV commercials that you see. I mean, I love the feel, the energy, even I remember I recorded there's a oh God, I'm gonna forget the author's name. That's not gonna be good. But I did a children's book trailer, and I didn't realize that this author was as popular as he is. Um, and I did it, and it was very kind of like low key, and it's on my website. It's the book is called
I saw that on your website.
like Where to Find a Star or
Yeah,
something to that effect.
I'm looking on my sheets now.
Oh, good. Yeah, I hope you can find it because I'm obviously killing it. Um, but
You can't remember everything you did. I
Oh,
mean,
you've done a
no, I
lot. I mean,
can't.
come on now.
yeah.
Yeah. And but it was great because it was very kind of low key, and it was just this.
Oh, where to hide a star?
Thank you. Okay, yes.
Okay.
And that was one of my favorite things. And that wasn't like this kind of high energy ad, but it was really kind of low key. And it was a children's thing. Anything related to like children's books and or anything kind of like that. I really like that. Maybe because I have kids, even though my kids are teenagers and it's a whole different vibe now, but that's a whole other podcast. But anyway, so um yeah, so I think commercial and because I like the energy that commercial work can bring, and then character stuff just because I mean since I was a kid, and I know this is so cliche, it really is, but I was the kid that watched commercials, I mean cartoons every single day. And I was like, oh my God. And I remember being able to like mimic voices when I was younger and even when I was into music, because I was into music, music took over for me for years. But I would always still kind of be like when I would see things and I could mimic this person and I could do kind of funny voices and don't get me wrong, it's not just about that. I mean, it's really about acting, but at the same time, it's like that was always there. So for me, being able to do character work is great. And I just had a video game actually come out called The Precinct, and where I play a mob boss, which is always fun.
Yes. You do a great job with it. I saw that. I checked out that clip.
Yeah. And it's just fun. So yeah, I think commercial work and character work are two of my favorites. And I think it's probably because it just really, um, it I don't know, it kind of goes back to when I was a kid and what I loved about maybe entertainment and all those things when I was a kid. It just kind of brings that out now. So I still feel like a kid, you know?
Yeah.
Have you ever been recognized by your voice?
Yes, I have. And it's funny. It's funny because so the GoDaddy commercial it was supposed to be an online ad, and then what they do is they test it and then it goes to television. So it was supposed to be on television and it never went to television. I got paid for it to be on television, which was wonderful, but it never went. And it was only online. And what was happening was like, if you look at it now, I think it has, I don't know, 30, 40 million views or something like that. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
And so, um, but I would have people all the time texting me was that you? Are you the tube guy on the GoDaddy commercial? I
That's
knew it was you
awesome.
right when I heard it, that type of thing. So I definitely for that one anyway, I which is just it's just funny to me. But yeah.
I think that's really cool. Have
Yeah.
you now you have had your voiceover work on television though, right?
Have.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
have you ever been like home hanging out and suddenly you hear your voice on the TV or radio or
No, because I don't have cable.
Oh, that's right.
I don't have
That's
cable.
right.
So we
Yeah.
just stream everything. So I can't even see it when I do have a commercial on national TV.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Um, so no, but I will say with the GoDaddy one, because it was online like so much, and like I remember my wife had seen it once, and other friends and things like that. It's just funny how that happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
love
but I
that.
I don't have cable, so I can't see it on TV,
Yes,
And
I realized as I was saying it that you had said
yeah,
that earlier. Yeah.
I'm going to listen a lot carefully now because um, I probably have seen it and just not known it was
maybe.
you.
Yeah, possibly.
Uh,
Yeah.
I just we want to get into the music, your music uh, career and things that we talked about at the very beginning. But I have one more question on this. Um, what advice would you give someone who is breaking or wants to break into VO voiceover acting today?
Hmm. I think just kind of understanding that it is in fact a business, that you don't sit in your pajamas all, well, I guess some people do sit in their pajamas all day and do the work, but that you really have to do the work. Like it's a job, it's a career, and you have to take it seriously and do all the right things. And all the right things are from acting classes to to coaching for voiceover. Those are two different things. um to marketing and to having a website that you can have your demos on. And you want to look professional, because if you look professional, you are professional. You don't want to have a signature on your email that looks like terrible, or you don't even want to have a website that's outdated. You just gotta really do your research. I would say just do there's the beauty about the internet is that there's so much free information out there, and social media, that I mean, you can hop on TikTok right now and put voiceover in, and you'll get 50 million people doing the same thing that I'm doing and posting videos and everything like that. So there's a lot of free information out there. You just gotta kind of watch who you're listening to, because there's people that call themselves coaches out there that aren't coaches, and should never call themselves coaches. But there's just a lot to it, and I think if you treat it as a business, um first and foremost, that is a thing that you need to keep in mind, and then getting the training and making sure you do all the necessary things to move there. And there's just so much to it, but do your research first and foremost.
Yeah, and I would think that handling rejection and realizing that not everything you're going to audition for you're going to get, so it's how you deal with that as well. I would think that would be an important a piece of advice as well.
It is, yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing about voiceovers, you audition and you don't hear either way. Like, I mean, I shouldn't say either way. You don't hear. If you don't get it, you just don't hear anything. So you're
Right.
just auditioning every day, and you're just waiting for the next email to come in that you got booked, that's something, booked. And so yeah, and I think not comparing yourself to people is huge too, because of the internet and social media. There are so many people out there, and everybody's showing their wins. I mean, when I get something that I want to put out there, I put it on social media. I just did this project. A lot of people do that because you want to show your wins, but comparing yourself to what other people are doing, you can't, because the one thing that I know in voiceover is everybody has their own path, and everybody's path is different, because you as a person and how you are presenting yourself and how your voice sounds is different than everybody. So you have to just forge your own path and just kind of put your head down and concentrate on that.
That's great
Uh,
advice.
yeah.
Let our listeners know you have a website and where they can find you on social media.
I do. So my website is www.mikeprevitivo.com. And I am on TikTok, Mike Previti VO. I think Instagram is the same thing, Mike Previti VO, and LinkedIn, which is a big website. I love LinkedIn. I connect with so many great, um, industry people and other and peers and things like that on LinkedIn. So yeah, I'm on all three.
That's
Facebook
great.
too, but I don't use Facebook that much.
We'll have those links and that information in the show notes of this episode. Great. It's great. I think I mentioned before, it was something that I never thought voice over acting. I never considered that. I always wanted to be behind a microphone, and just never
It's a
followed that.
broadcaster, right?
Yeah, never followed that dream. This is probably as close as I'll get to it, and I'm enjoying it. And I'm, it just sounds so exciting. What you're doing. I'm so glad that you're still doing it after these years. Like you say, a lot of people fall off, and you're doing well. So
Thank you.
that's great, and thank you. So, switching gears here, we'll talk a little bit about music. You have some stuff that just kind of recently came out, and I know Debbie has some questions on that, and she knows a lot about your music. I'm just kind of learning about it, but I'll let Debbie take it.
Well, I mean, I just know, Mike is, a singer, songwriter, extremely talented, and that's how I know Mike from long ago. I was a publicist for him, but you've been releasing some music that you had produced a while ago, right? And so, if you want to talk a little bit about that, and
Yeah.
with Anthony.
Yeah. So Anthony Resta, who is a producer extraordinaire,
Mm-hmm.
he's originally from Massachusetts. He's been out in LA for maybe, I think it's about 12 years now,
Yeah.
something to that effect. But before he left, him and I were able to record an EP. That's when they had EPs. I don't think they had.
Yeah.
So 6 songs. We recorded 6 songs, and I had been in the Boston music scene for a long time, and I had gotten to a point where I was really wanting to kind of venture into a little bit of a different territory as far as sounds and things like that. And Anthony was kind of known. He had produced Duran Duran and Sean Mullins and Collective Soul and Elton John and all these people. And he's really known for like his soundscapes and different things. And at the time, I remember like I was really into Radiohead and all these, just experimenting with different sounds and different things. So him and I called him and I said, hey, I'd love to talk to you about maybe producing, my next EP. And he said, yeah, let's definitely talk. And I've known about you, Mike, for a while, and I've wanted to work with you for a long time. And I kind of felt the same way about Anthony, and it just kind of, it worked out, and we decided to work together. And then so we recorded these 6 songs within a month's time frame at his studio, 6 days a week, like 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. every single day, 6 days a week for 1 month straight. And just recently we were talking, and he has a podcast and asked me to be on it, and we were able to talk about that time when we had recorded those songs, and really just started reminiscing and listening to the songs during the podcast and going, man, like we did good. Like,
Yes.
we did good. And I said, you know what, Anthony, I'm going to just post 1 song a week for 6 weeks, and I'll tag you, and you can throw it out there too if you want or whatever. And so it's just kind of a fun thing for me. I mean, music was so many years of my life, and I'm still able to, in voiceover, audition when I have to audition for, say, like a DreamWorks project. I can audition, but they need somebody that sings as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky that I have that, and I'm glad that I have that, and I like to still use that when I can. And for me, it's like a fun thing. So I've been posting those songs, and it's been a lot of fun just kind of seeing the reaction for people that didn't know that I had done that before or whatever.
Yeah, because definitely you have a whole different following of people who only know you as a voiceover actor, and then
Yeah, that's right.
that
Yeah.
not as like where it's the other way around for me. And so it's a treat for both people, for both sets of people, I should say, and that's fun. I'm glad that you're sharing it on that medium, the people who know you for voiceover, and it's I highly encourage people to check it out because the music, is it's
Thanks, Deb.
great. I mean, yeah. Oh
And
yeah, absolutely.
where can they check it out, and what's the title again?
Oh my God. So, well, it was the set of songs was I titled them Lights. And I don't know if you can get it anywhere right now, to be honest with you, because I never put it on like Spotify or anything like that.
Okay.
So I'm not sure you can get it anywhere. But if you email me, I'll just send you the tracks. How's that?
Yeah. And
And
people
that,
can hear it on your social media too. I mean,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
if you go,
posting.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I've been posting. I think I posted 2 songs over the last couple of
Yeah.
weeks.
right.
I'll post the next four over the next 4 weeks. So
And if folks want to get in touch with you, whether it's for voiceover or for the music, what is your email?
it is Mike at MikePrevitiVO.com.
Mike at MikePrevitiVO.com. We'll have that in the show description as well. I read somewhere that you began your music career very, very early. Did you actually secure an agent at 12 years old?
I
Is
did.
it That's
I
amazing.
Yeah, well,
Amazing.
yeah. The story goes that like I said, when I was a kid, my dad used to watch a lot of movies and like old movies though, like Lone Ranger and things like that. Black and white, shows or whatever. And I was like, you know, fascinated. I don't know why. I was like fascinated with TV shows and movies and the behind the scenes stuff. And I said to my parents that I wanted to be in movies. I said, I want to be on TV. I want to be in movies. And I was about 10 years old or maybe 11 or something. And so, then, what I would do is I don't know I needed an agent, but I did. I don't even know. I don't know how I must have seen it somewhere or seen it or something. So I would call my dad at work every day and I would say, can you look for an agent for me? I knew nothing about LA or New York or like, you know what I mean? I was 10. And so I would call him every day though. Can you look for an agent for me? Can you look? And I was so driven. I was so driven. And he would fluff it off and just go, okay, this is a phase. And one day, I called him like whatever, maybe the eighth day that I'd called him in a row. And he goes, okay, I'm going to look. Now, this is when the yellow pages were around, right? So he's like, I'm going to look. I'm going to tell him I can't find anything and we're going to move on with life. So he opens the yellow pages and he's like alphabetical order and he happens to see an agency called the Boston Agency. And it says like modeling and acting, children, blah, 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 whatever. So he calls and he's like, yeah, my son, he's whatever I was, 10, 11, 12, is interested in acting and he's blah, blah, blah. And they said, it just so happens that we are currently looking for kids. We would love to have you bring them down. And my dad was like,
Oh my.
what?
Wow.
Like, this wasn't
Wow.
supposed to go this way. So he got me an interview. Him and I went there and we were with a bunch of other kids and their moms or dads. And when they explained to us kind of how it worked at the agency, they asked me to stay back. They let everybody else leave, and they said, "Mike, we really think you'll be good for the agency, and we'd love to kind of have you." And I was like, "I'm a movie star. I'm a movie star. That's it. I've made it." And I didn't even know what that was, but I was like, "I made it. This is it." And
Wow.
so yeah, so I had an agent at that point, and I had done a couple of on-camera commercials and things like that. And then shortly thereafter, the music bug took over for me,
Oh,
and that was it with acting for a little while. But for all the
wow.
years I kind of done it. I did a couple other on-camera things when I was a little bit older, and but it was very sporadic.
That just shows you have been ambitious since that age, and how incredible. I mean, your dad must have been just as surprised that, because he probably just said, "All right, I'm going to do it," and then it came to that.
It just
Yeah,
Yeah,
get
that's a
you off
great
his back.
story.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
What a journey. What a journey, Mike. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. Remind our listeners again how they can reach you, your website, your email.
Sure.
We'll have all of this in the show notes as well, but just let our listeners know.
Yeah. So my website is www.mikeprevitivo.com. Email is mike@mikeprevitivo.com. And you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Right. Before we let you go, is there anything you want to that we didn't touch on that you might have coming up you want us to learn about? Or
no, I think that we've covered my entire life. To be honest.
I think so. From 12 years old on.
I'm a little tired. I got to be honest with you. But I want to thank you guys again, and again, congratulations on all your success. Because I mean, being in 95 countries, or and doing this for the last 4 years or whatever is incredible. So congrats again on that one.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And the reason that we're still here, 5 years later, or I think we're just about to hit our 6th year with the podcast, and it's because of guests like yourself. We've had wonderful guests on with great stories, and otherwise
it was me and Jerry talking.
Nobody would listen to us. We
nobody cares.
Don't sell yourself short. Don't sell yourself short.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you again, and we'll have all of the information on how you can reach Mike on the show notes for this description. And for this show notes and description, it's getting late. In the description of the, well, you know what I mean. So anyway, Mike, thanks. It's so good to see you again. I look forward to hopefully catching a Bruins game with you this season.
That would be amazing.
We'll be in touch. You're right up the street from where I am. So we'll definitely be talking about that. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Mike. Always great seeing you.
Mike Previti, everyone.